Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Chief Meteorologist Dave Roberts here, along with meteorologist Peyton Garrison. Kara, what's your last name? Shirley?
Shirley.
Kara Shirley's here too.
Here,
Y'all know
Shirley.
Kara if you tune in to, what would you call it? The
WLBT Plus,
WLBT Plus,
the digital news desk.
the digital news desk. And if you tune into that, you'll see Kara on there. She's every day hanging around, drinking coffee, telling the news. You smoke cigarettes at all?
No, not anymore.
Real? Oh, not anymore. Okay, so she's cleaning that up a little bit. That's good. We appreciate that. You're right over there. What's going on? I wish you could put a camera on this because her chair's upside down on the floor,
My sound
and we're in her. This is her home. She actually lives here.
Yeah.
This is her home. We're in the front of the trailer, and so this is where she has a little studio that she does all of the WLBT stuff for, and Peyton has been working real hard. She got an early today. Peyton is a keyboard warrior in a good sense. Yesterday, she made a ton of graphics, but she does a great job as always. I was at the gym this morning. I turn on the TV. There's Peyton, and so I knew the world was going to be okay today. And then we get in. We start talking about the tropical storm, probably soon to be hurricane.
Soon to be hurricane.
Yep, and we start talking about that, and then we're planning out our strategy for the evening. Whoa, it's going to be, for us, it's going to be a rough 36 hours for the whole WLBT First Alert Weather Team with Chase and Elise in the morning, because we got a lot of information to share with you. And this storm has a lot of people on edge. And all I'm here to tell you is don't get nervous until we get nervous. And we're not nervous. We have seen this storm coming for a while. We're watching the latest trends that are happening with Francine, and we're going to give you a little preview. This is your opportunity to ask us any questions you may have that we haven't been able to answer so far. Maybe we've answered it, you just have missed it, but we're here to do that for you. We're going to give you a little presentation on what's happening with Francine, where we believe it's going next. And then, of course, for detailed information, you're going to see Peyton this afternoon at 4 p.m., 4:30. You'll see me at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock tonight. There's a little bit of a debate. I don't know if you've heard going on the television tonight. That's going to be on WLBT from 8 to 9:30. And then we will have, following that, we'll have WLBT's 10 p.m. news, which will have a lot of information. So, Peyton, why don't you go to our first graphic there, which shows where tropical Francine is. And it's still quite a distance away. It's about 500 miles away from Jackson.
Yeah, it's not too far off the coast of Brownsville, Texas. It doesn't look all that impressive right now. It's still a tropical storm. You know, this time yesterday, I thought we were going to have at least a hurricane in the Gulf. But, you know, Francine's been fighting some dry air, some wind shear. Winds are still at 65 miles per hour. So, you know, Francine hasn't really intensified all that much over the past 24 hours, although we still think that it's going to here at some point this evening and into tomorrow.
74 mile per hour sustained winds makes it a hurricane. It's not there yet. It's been holding at 65 for quite some time, for the better part of the last 12 hours or more. And so we're waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, current forecast track has differed a little bit over the past 24 hours. It doesn't have it making landfall as intense of a system compared to yesterday, where we thought maybe it could make landfall as a Category 2 hurricane with 100-mile-an-hour sustained winds. It's still going to be a hurricane, likely, regardless. So, you know, southeastern Louisiana, they need to be prepped and prepared for its arrival. And, you know, the forecast track hasn't really changed all that much, at least for our area. It's going to be weakening over time, overnight Wednesday, early Thursday morning, maybe making it to the I-20 corridor right around daybreak Thursday morning as a tropical storm. So we're not looking at, you know, hurricane force winds here locally, but I mean, it's going to be a powerful and impactful storm here regardless. Yeah. And one also thing that we've noted the past 24 hours that has a slight eastward nudge. I mean, right now the forecast track has it moving northward up the I-55 corridor. So that's something we'll see if it holds over the next 24 hours.
You know, one of the things we tell people all the time is don't pay attention to the exact track, which of course is kind of silly to tell people that, because what do? You're paying attention to the exact track. But you have to understand something. See that cone on the screen here? Everywhere in that cone is at risk of being directly impacted by this storm. Let me repeat that. Every place in the cone could be impacted by this storm directly. And that means that the entire WLBT viewing area is included, okay, in this area, central southwest Mississippi. Now, there will be a difference on whether you're on the east side or the west side. When you're on the western side of the storm, of the track, you tend to have fewer impacts. That becomes significant if this storm tracks, say, up I-59. Yesterday, we were showing you it was going up the Mississippi River. Today, it's tracking up I-55. We have had some models that are trying to bend it more east. I will say this to you, been doing this a few years. When you see the storm make landfall, it becomes a different animal completely. It spreads out, so the impacts from the storm are much farther out. When you're on the coast and it hits as a hurricane, for instance, where you see that tomorrow, Wednesday evening, New Orleans would be directly impacted, but Lafayette or Lake Charles will have virtually no impacts from this storm. So it's to give you an idea as to where it's going to be the worst, where it's going to be the best. And so right now we are all in the forecast cone. So it's very hard to separate Natchez from Jackson to Brookhaven to Kosciuszko because we're all probably going to be equally affected. Obviously, the closer you are to the coast, Macomb, Tylertown, Meadville, Brookhaven, you're going to have higher impacts anyway. But the whole region is probably susceptible to seeing a tornado tomorrow night, maybe Thursday morning, depending on where this configuration of the storm lies. But it's something we all need to be aware of. So again, just to clear that up, if you're in the forecast cone, take this seriously because this could directly impact you. And there's even the potential here that it goes out of the forecast cone. All right. And so we'll see if that I-59 scenario becomes more plausible. If it does, we're still going to be directly impacted, but of a lighter degree.
Yeah, and impacts may not be as severe as, if you, go 50 miles out to the east, out towards Interstate 59, where if we did have a more easterly track. So if the west side is typically the best side, even if you're on the west side of the system, if you're out in Monroe, I mean, they're still going to see impacts from the system, rain, wind, not necessarily tornadoes. So, I would be hopeful that we see more of an easterly track, but as of now, we're seeing a direct impact for the entire area.
Yep. Kara, do you want to throw us any questions at this point? Or,
So, here we go.
Okay. So could you all please give a timeline for when it'll be in Vicksburg, please? And thanks so much. All right, let me do this. Let me make it really easy for you. Tomorrow, during the day, we have the risk of, you'll see the wind picking up. There'll be showers developing, especially in the afternoon. The worst of the weather will be tomorrow night. Okay? That's for everyone. There's no specific timeline other than that. There's a chance for a tornado out of any squall that develops tomorrow, day or night. By Thursday morning, after daybreak, the weather will start improving, but not before daybreak. It's probably going to be somewhere around sunrise or a little bit thereafter. So the morning commute is going to be kind of rough on Thursday, depending on where this is located. We think the center is going to be very close to I-20. So if you're south of the center, you'll be in a much better shape. So that answers all the timeline questions. Okay, so Lance just moved here. Lance, great profile picture, by the way. I know who that is. Lance just moved here from Arizona. Very cerebral. I like that. How seriously should we take this? The local people seem to take it in stride, but we're terrified. All right, let me give you a little perspective. So about 20 years ago, Hurricane Katrina hit, and it came up the coast of Mississippi and literally just went right up through the middle of the state. That was a much larger hurricane. It devastated the whole state, several counties. Devastated the whole state. Some were without power for months. This is going to be of a lesser degree for sure, but this is going to be treated as a severe weather outbreak. You should take all the precautions you need because, as you know, you could be living in that one spot where the trees come down on the power lines. You're without power for some period of time. There will be places in Mississippi that will be completely unaffected by this storm, but places that take a direct hit, this could be quite serious. So that's why I tell people that, taking it in stride, this is not something to panic over. We are in the South. We get tornadoes frequently during the year. We do get hurricanes from time to time as well. And welcome to Mississippi, by the way. We should bring some of that dry air with you in the middle of the summer when it's 100 and something degrees, because that's when it's really uncomfortable here. Any other questions? Okay, so appreciate that. We're going to go on here. You got some more stuff, Peyton, for the kids?
We just have a closer look
Mhm.
at the forecast cone. Landfall again Wednesday evening in Louisiana as a hurricane, weakens to a tropical storm close to the Interstate 20 corridor near daybreak Thursday morning. As it likely tracks directly overhead. And, we have this kind of description, saying if you're on the western side versus the eastern side in relation to that center of circulation.
Right. So again, east of that track, the worst of the weather. West of the track, not as bad. Drier air, less windy. But again, we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of alerts in effect. We saw them being expanded earlier this morning, generally for counties south of I-20. That's where we have the potential of seeing tropical storm force winds for counties shaded in either orange or pink. That's that tropical storm watch versus warning. That's probably the best potential for the strongest of winds. I think once the system gets to I-20, it's really going to start to weaken, but it's going to be breezy. It's going to be windy regardless. So even if you're not in the watch, you're probably going to see a lot of wind when it comes to the overnight hours, Wednesday, Thursday morning. That still could cause power outages.
That's right. So a watch means potential. A warning means it's imminent. So our southern counties, you're looking at imminent winds, Wilkinson, Emmett, Pike, and Walthall, over 39 miles per hour. The watch is in effect for all the other counties pretty much south of the Jackson Metro, and that means the potential is there for 39 mile per hour winds. I see we do have another question. I'm sorry. I see your stars, Kara. Okay. So Brad Cooney asks if there's any more shifts to the east that are expected. It's been a trend. It's definitely been a trend. It's been a small trend, but I do expect that. Here's the key. I really want to know how far east this storm makes it before it makes landfall, because that's going to be the key. The indications are once it makes landfall, then it will start to turn more northward instead of eastward. Okay, so there's going to be that tendency. So right now it's got a lot of dry air in the Gulf. There's a lot of shear. Shear represents changing winds. That's not good for a hurricane. It's good for us, but it's not good for a hurricane. And that shear is something that will make the storm a little bit harder to get organized. But Peyton's showing here the chance for getting 39 mile per hour sustained winds or higher. And look how Macomb stands out more than Jackson.
Yeah.
Just to give you an example.
Yeah, that kind of goes along with those tropical storm warnings. The farther south that you are, where the storm's going to be at its strongest, that's where you're going to have the better chance of seeing those tropical storm force winds. The chance does get a lot less farther north, where we expect the system to be weaker in general. But I mean, breezy winds here in the metro, I think, are going to be likely still.
Yeah. So to sum it up, Wednesday, daytime, showers likely, breezy. Possible tornado at any time. Wednesday night, heavy rain developing, heavy wind developing, tornadoes become likely. That will continue Wednesday night, overnight, and into the morning on Thursday, especially after landfall. We expect landfall to happen on the South Louisiana coast by about sunset tomorrow night, give or take a couple hours, but that's what we're thinking. And thereafter, that's when the weather will really start to go downhill around here. Any other questions? Okay. Heather Denise, should I be worried? I'm in a mobile home. I say absolutely. And the reason I say that, and I don't even hesitate on that, is because think about when we talk about tornadoes, when it comes to mobile homes. That's a big concern. Unless you have proper tie down stuff. And when I say I'm talking certified, all that fun stuff. And, with especially southwestern Mississippi, more of a concern. Now's the time to find maybe an alternate shelter to ride out the storm if you're in that particular type situation. Okay, one more question. All right, Jessica, travel impacts coming into Mississippi from Birmingham Thursday. Obviously you want to check the road conditions beforehand, but the later Thursday you come in, the better off you'll be. That's what I would tell you. And you didn't mention where in Mississippi you're going, so that's the other problem. So if you're going to North Mississippi, I would not want to come in during Thursday. But if you're going to South Mississippi Thursday, and if you're coming into Central Mississippi, Thursday afternoon or later would be preferred. But again, check road conditions with MDOT before you do that, because we could have power outages, we could have road issues. It's unknown. It's like people ask me, is the power going to be impacted? no offense, I've seen the power impacted on a sunny, clear day here. We have 3,000 people without power, and I look at Peyton, I go, "Did I miss something? What did I miss?" So this happens all the time. But these are things that we can't predict how the infrastructure is going to do in any situation, obviously, because every situation seems to be unique. All right. Well, listen, folks, we've enjoyed it. We hope you've enjoyed it too. Got anything else? Okay. So we are going to get back to work. And we're going to be forecasting the weather. We're going to be monitoring latest trends. The new package comes out around 4 p.m. That will have the updated forecast track. Be interesting to see if there is a change at that point in time. And then we're going to have a new one for you tonight at 10 as well. So there's a lot of information to get out to you, and we're going to be doing that in the coming hours as Francine gets closer and closer to Mississippi. But again, to sum it up, Wednesday, showers likely. The breeze will start picking up. And then when it comes to Wednesday night and Thursday morning, that's where the worst of the weather is going to hit. If you want exact times for your location, go to the free First Alert weather app. It has an hour-by-hour forecast that is in there for you. And again, for more information on the situation, we're going to be providing you updates on Facebook, online, WLBT.com, and of course on WLBT with meteorologist Peyton Garrison at 4 and 4:30. Myself, Dave Roberts, at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock tonight. Until then, folks, we want you to all stay safe and stay informed and stay weather aware with WLBT First Alert Weather.